Winston Churchill famously said of Russia, "It is a riddle, wrapped in a mystery, inside an enigma." Prime Minister Churchill, meet Vladimir Putin.
He is really very much of a leader. He's been a leader far more than our president has been a leader.
He was a KGB agent. By definition, he doesn't have a soul.
Vladimir Putin is a thug and a murderer and a killer.
He's the richest man in the world. Hundreds of billions of dollars of wealth.
What does he want from Donald Trump?
Putin is going to eat him like a sandwich.
He'd rather have a puppet as president.
You're the puppet.
Just how powerful is he?
Putin has an untrammeled authority.
Hurrah!
I don't see any checks on his power.
So powerful, he rigged the American election?
Of course, Putin wanted Hillary Clinton to lose. He despised Hillary Clinton.
Whom would you like better?
Of the world!
While Russia celebrates, Americans ask, what does he want? And is he really the most powerful man in the world?
Donald Trump wins the presidency.
But when the United States elected a new president,
Donald John Trump.
it looked like Russia had fallen for a new leader.
Победа Трампа будет праздник для всего человечества.
There were toasts all over Moscow,
За победу Дональда Трампа.
at the parliament known as the Duma, on talk shows, and at bars.
We are the champions of the world.
But one man seemed utterly unsurprised by Trump's victory.
He's happy to take credit. And that means that he won the US election. The man who is simultaneously president of Russia and in charge of the United States.
Mr. Putin.
Trump impersonators are everywhere in Russia.
Я люблю Россию, но ты ничего не докажешь.
You're fired, you're fired, you're fired.
But it could be an American TV program that best describes the Putin-Trump relationship.
I think Putin views Trump as an apprentice.
At the heart of all this are some deadly serious questions. Does Vladimir Putin have some kind of hold over Donald Trump? Did he tamper with the American elections? I tried to ask him. Mr. Putin did not agree to answer my questions, but his closest aide, Dmitry Peskov, did.
The answer is very simple, no. You're humiliating yourself, saying that a country can intervene in your election process. America, a huge country, country number one, the most powerful country in the world, this is simply impossible.
We will get at the truth of all this. But the biggest surprise? America also loved Vladimir Putin. President George W. Bush thought he'd found a kindred spirit.
I looked the man in the eye. I found him to be very straightforward and trustworthy. I was able to get a sense of his soul.
Even Hollywood fell for the new Russian president.
We'll see what we shall see. I'll bring my rose with me.
He bonded with stars at a charity dinner. But the honeymoon would soon come to a crashing halt.
He was a KGB agent. By definition, he doesn't have a soul.
How are you? So glad to see you.
Next, when Vladimir met Hillary.
It's important to remember how much he despised Hillary Clinton.
How many times will she leave her mark? How many ways will she light up the world? This is the woman.
At the heart of the hacking scandal that rocked the 2016 presidential election,
ladies and gentlemen,
was an old grudge.
My mother, my hero, and our next president, Hillary Clinton.
It went beyond ideology. It was personal. Vladimir Putin was not a fan of Hillary Clinton.
Of course, Putin wanted Hillary Clinton to lose. He hated Hillary Clinton.
Prime Minister, we have a lot of problems in that.
The tension between the leaders had been brewing for years. In 2001, another American leader, George W. Bush, vouched for Putin.
I was able to get a sense of his soul.
Thank you.
But on the campaign trail in 2008, Hillary had a different take.
I could have told him he was a KGB agent. By definition, he doesn't have a soul. I mean, this is a waste of time, right?
Recently, Mrs. Clinton said that you, as a former KGB agent, by definition, can have no soul.
Putin's reply: statesmen shouldn't be guided by their hearts, they should use their heads. Clinton had a lot of tough words for Putin over the years.
He's a very arrogant person to deal with.
We have to stand up to his bullying.
He is somebody who will take as much as he possibly can.
But it was what happened in 2011 that marked a point of no return. It began with the Arab Spring protests early that year. The kind of popular uprising that Putin dreaded.
He begins to see himself through the eyes of Hosni Mubarak.
Mubarak of Egypt was facing prosecution. Syria's Bashar al-Assad was on the ropes. Libya's strongman Muammar Gaddafi met a particularly gruesome fate. Brutally killed after begging for his life. Putin may have feared the same bloody fate for himself. Just a few weeks later, rebellion arrived in Russia. Tens of thousands rallied in the streets of Moscow. The biggest protest there since the fall of the Soviet Union.
People were hanging off lampposts, people were in the streets. It's really shocking.
Putin was now living the same nightmare he had endured as a KGB officer in East Germany in 1989. This time, in his own backyard. And he wasn't even president at the time. He was prime minister, having handed the presidency over to his associate, Dmitry Medvedev.
As the winter went longer and longer and got colder and colder, the protests got bigger and bigger.
As Putin saw people turning against him, Hillary Clinton weighed in.
The Russian people, like people everywhere, deserve the right to have their voices heard and their votes counted.
When Putin hears something like that, I imagine he hears Bush talking about Saddam Hussein. He hears that as they're coming for me.
There he goes.
They're trying to drive me from power. And what the hell do you know about my people and whether they deserve to have their voices heard? Like, I'll tell you if they should have their voices heard.
Russians had a lot of reasons to be angry.
Владимира Путина на должность президента страны.
That fall, it was announced that Putin would run for president again, for a third time. That meant he could potentially rule Russia until 2024.
Some people said, oh my God, I'm going to die with this guy in power.
A few months later, the elections for Russia's parliament were a farce.
We do have serious concerns about the conduct of the elections.
Hillary Clinton called out the election rigging. I don't think she realized quite how badly that was going to go down.
With his back against the wall, Putin turned the tables. He blamed the protests on Hillary Clinton, claiming that she was the one who incited them with her complaints about the election.
There are growing restrictions on the exercise of fundamental rights.
Quote unquote, she sent a signal. That was his words.
Putin's strategy propelled him to victory. In March 2012, he won re-election handily, fighting back tears after a tense fight to maintain his power.
Мы показали, что нам действительно никто ничего не может навязать.
He may have won the day, but Vladimir Putin never forgot about the woman who had kicked him when he was down.
Do you think he'd resolved, you interfered with my elections, two can play this game?
I think that that's the line of thinking that led him to the intervention. I mean, I'm totally convinced the Russians were meddling and intervening covertly.
U.S. intelligence concluded that Putin personally ordered a campaign to influence the American election, in part because he holds a grudge for Clinton's comments in 2011.
The other accusation...
Putin has denied that Russia was hacking the Democrats.
I don't know anything about that. You know how many hackers there are today. It's an extremely difficult thing to check.
The Russians allegedly focused their attack on a particularly weak target: the Democratic National Committee.
You could have broken into the DNC with a can opener. This took less work to get into the DNC's computer systems than it took the Watergate burglars to get into the DNC offices back during the Nixon campaign.
More than 1,900 emails released.
In the middle of a tight race,
the leak revealed transcripts from some
embarrassing emails mysteriously leaked from the Clinton campaign were all over the news.
WikiLeaks has released a new batch of
Another
stolen
round
emails.
of stolen emails. The Clinton campaign knows this could be a
This latest leak, pretty much a Trump dream come true.
Donald Trump was delighted by Clinton's misfortunes.
Russia, if you're listening, I hope you're able to find the 30,000 emails that are missing.
Donald J. Trump will become the 45th president of the United States, defeating...
In the end, America's election went Putin's way.
I've just received a call from Secretary Clinton.
Hillary Clinton was quite negative about our country in her attitude.
It wouldn't be bad to get along with Russia, right? It wouldn't be bad.
And to the contrary, the other candidate, Donald Trump, was saying that we have to find some understanding.
When people like me, I like them. Even Putin.
Whom would you like better?
This is not the outcome we wanted.
Hillary Clinton suffered one of the most shocking defeats in American history.
I know how disappointed you feel because I feel it too.
At least in part, some observers say, because of the alleged hacking operation.
This is painful, and it will be for a long time.
Putin had apparently avenged his old grudge.
So help me God.
Congratulations, Mr. President.
And he may have achieved even more.
The 45th President of the United States.
If Donald Trump is in some way compromised, if the Russian government has something that it feels has on him in terms of leverage, that's a very serious thing. I don't suggest for a second that I have the answer to this question, but we can't just let this matter drop.